Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jay all day, and in this week's episode, we're going to break down all the games for Week 17 to give you the best possible survivor picks if you're still alive. If you made it this far, you only have 2 more weeks to get that cash. We're going to give you the best picks for Week 17. Let's get into it. Real quick, guys, before we get into these Week 17 breakdowns of these NFL games, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We just crossed the 4,000 subscriber mark. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's get into these games. If you made it this far in your survivor pool, man, you guys are so close to that cash. You really have to pay attention to each and every game. As we enter these week 16 and 17 and 18, these games have a lot of playoff implications. In the NFC, only 2 spots have been secured for the playoffs so far, and 4 out of the 7 in the NFC. So a lot of these AFC games, there's a ton of playoff implications. So we have to take that into consideration when we're picking these games. All right, let's get into it. For some reason, the NFL is still doing these Thursday night games this late in the season, but I love the Browns in this spot at home against the Jets. They're 7-1 at home, and Joe Flacco really has this team playing consistently. The Jets have been eliminated from playoff contention, so who knows who's going to play. They might start playing some of their younger guys to get them some reps, to get them ready for next season. So I love the Browns in this spot. If you have not used the Browns, guys, they are a great spot for your survivor picks in this upcoming week. And then we have the Lions, who locked up their division for the first time since like 1993. They're in the playoffs, so they might not be playing their starters as much leading into these games, but we'll have to see what happens. But the Cowboys, it's a must win. They have to win this game if they want to think about winning the NFC East. With them losing last week and the Eagles winning, they pretty much have to win out, and the Eagles are going to have to drop at least one, if not both, of these games against Arizona and the New York Giants. From a survivor perspective, I don't want anything to do with this game at all whatsoever. Then we're going to move on to the Bills at home versus the Patriots. The Patriots eliminated, but the Bills are still in contention for a wild card spot. It's a must-win spot for them. They're pretty good at home, 6-2. I like them in this spot to beat the Patriots. The Patriots are, not so good, but it's a division game. It's late in the year, and the Patriots have been playing a little bit better as of late. I don't love this spot. I don't like division games, especially this late in the season, but Josh Allen does like to turn the ball over a lot, so that's another thing that scares me about this game. But the Bills have to win this game. They want to lock up a playoff spot. This is a spot they should win. Next up, we have the Falcons traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. Remember, the Falcons play in a dome, guys, at home, and they're playing in the freezing cold weather in Chicago. And the Bears have been playing really, really good as of late. They're 4-3 at home, so they don't have a huge home field advantage, but somehow Atlanta beat the Colts. We were on the Colts last week. I have no idea how you lose to Carolina and then you beat the Colts the next week. The Atlanta Falcons are extremely inconsistent, and so are the Bears. So from a survivor perspective, I would stay away from this game. The Falcons, if they want a chance to get into the playoffs, they have to win this game. It's a long shot for Atlanta, but they're not so good on the road, 2-5. That's another reason I don't like this game whatsoever, but it's a must-win spot for the Falcons. From a survivor perspective, I would stay away from this game. Then we have the Raiders and the Colts, 2 teams that are still vying for playoff spots. The Raiders have not been eliminated yet. It's another long shot, but they just beat the Chiefs last week. Actually, they blew the brakes off the Chiefs. And the Colts, come on, Colts, losing to the Falcons in a must-win spot. Another game. These teams are about even. Vegas agrees with me with that -3 line. I don't like this game from a survivor perspective, but it should be a good game, and there are playoff implications, so this is going to be a really good game. But the Colts just losing to Atlanta, who just lost to Carolina. I don't like the Colts. I don't like the Raiders in the spot. Even though the Raiders have been playing a lot better, they're not very good on the road. But the Colts aren't so good at home, either 3-4 on the year. Then we have the Rams at the Giants. I love the Rams in this spot, guys. If you have not used the Rams this year, that is a great spot. The Giants just make a ton of mistakes. They're not very good. I don't know who's going to start. Is it going to be DeVito? Is it going to be Tyrod Taylor? The Giants just do dumb shit. Tyrod Taylor's not going to be in their future plans, so just let Tommy DeVito play. I don't understand why they took him out against the Eagles. that game does nothing for you. Leave DeVito in, let him develop, let him see a really good defensive front in the Eagles and develop this guy who could potentially be a backup quarterback or a starter going into the future. The Giants just continue to do dumb shit all the time. That's why they have been terrible for the last decade. I love the Rams in this spot. And then we have the Cardinals at the Eagles. The Eagles are my lock of the week. It's a must-win game for the Eagles. And if you haven't used them, they've been pretty inconsistent the second half of the year, so you might have saved the Eagles for this spot. The Philadelphia Eagles are my lock of the week. This week at home, Arizona is traveling to Philadelphia. It's going to be in the low 40s. Another team that likes to play in the warm weather in the domes. I love the Eagles in this spot. They looked a little bit better. Still not, firing on all cylinders. That secondary for the Eagles is terrible. The linebackers played okay. Shaq Leonard had a really good game. So we'll see if he can continue to thrive in this new Matt Patricia system. But I love the Philadelphia Eagles in this spot. And for week 17, the Philadelphia Eagles are my lock of the week. All right, let's continue, guys. We have the Saints traveling to the Buccaneers, another game with a lot of playoff implications. Two pretty even teams, but you guys know if you follow this channel, I don't believe in Derek Carr at all whatsoever. And Baker Mayfield, man, he's been playing great, and he might have solidified himself another year as the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with this run he's been on. He's been really, really good. They've just been playing a lot better as a team. Vegas has them about even at -3, but I like the Buccaneers in this spot. Even from a money line perspective, the Saints are not very good on the road, 3-5. I love the Buccaneers in this spot. If you're a betting person, I like, I don't know if I would lay the 3 points, but a money line bet, I think they're coming in at -130, -145. That's a great bet for you guys. But from a survivor perspective, no way. I'm out on this game. 49ers at the Commanders. If somehow you have not used the 49ers, I look for them to bounce back after that loss to the Ravens last week in this spot against the Commanders, who are going to be playing their younger players. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They're going to blow out the Commanders, I think. I like the 49ers in this spot. Then we move on to the Panthers at the Jaguars. Jaguars, this is a must-win game for them. They've been very inconsistent going down the stretch. I don't love the Jaguars in this spot. And the Panthers, I don't know if you can say they've been playing better, but they're 0-8 on the road. This is another game I really like. If you haven't used Jacksonville, Jacksonville should win this game, guys. They're the tier right underneath the Eagles. It was between the Eagles and the Jaguars for my lock of the week, but I like the Eagles a little bit better because I think their team's a little bit better. And Trevor Lawrence, I think he's dealing with more and more injuries week after week. So I still think the Jaguars should win. If you have them and you need a team to win, I like them at home because the Panthers have not won a single game on the road this year. They're terrible. I like the Jaguars in this spot. Then let's move on to the Dolphins at the Ravens. This is going to be a really good game with playoff implications. Home field advantage potentially on the line here for a number 1 seed in the AFC. I like the Dolphins and the Ravens to put on a great game for us. This is my favorite game of the week, but if you're a survivor bettor, stay away from this game. Just enjoy it. I like the Ravens to inch out a win 21-17, something like that. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be pretty close. I think the Ravens will be able to hold down that explosive Dolphins offense. But, man, anyone can win that game. And whoever wins that game has a leg up in potentially getting that number 1 seed in the AFC. That's going to be a great game. Then we have the Titans at the Texans. Hopefully, C.J. Stroud will play in this game. He's been out the last couple weeks in concussion protocol. He's been a little banged up in the second half of the year. But the Titans, they're so inconsistent, but they've only won 1 game on the road. So if C.J. Stroud plays, that could be a spot that if you haven't used the Texans, you could potentially use here. They're pretty good at home, 5-3. And the Texans are good, but they need C.J. Stroud because he is a great young quarterback, and they're in good hands moving forward. And the Titans are Jekyll and Hyde. They play pretty good at home, but they're terrible on the road. Then we have the Steelers and the Seahawks, another game. Both teams are 8-7. This is a very important game for both teams. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, like a 17-14 type of game. From a survivor, you don't want anything to do with this game. It should be fun to watch. And whoever wins this game can solidify a wild card spot in their respective conferences. All right, we have 3 games left, guys. The Chargers at the Broncos. If the Broncos want to hope at snaking one of those wild card spots, they have to win. But I don't like them in this spot, man. The Broncos are so inconsistent, man. They had a must-win game last week, and they lost. Yikes. I don't like this game. Stay away from these two. They're so inconsistent. The Chargers are terrible. I don't even know how they have 5 wins. It's unbelievable to me. If the Broncos want to have a chance of sneaking into the playoffs, they have to win this game, but I would not be putting my survivor juice on this game whatsoever. Avoid this game. Then we have the Bengals at the Chiefs. Another game with a lot of playoff implications. The Bengals are still alive, even though they haven't been playing so good the last couple weeks, and the Chiefs just lost to the Raiders, and they could fall to 9-7, and if they lose again in the last week of the year, 9-8, yikes, guys. Yikes. The Chiefs do not look good at all whatsoever. 2 very inconsistent teams from a survivor. I don't like this game at all whatsoever. I would avoid this Chiefs-Bengals game like the plague. 2 teams that are kind of reeling. Any one of these teams could win. We don't want to risk the bag on this game whatsoever. And then the last game of this week, we have the Packers traveling to the Dome in Minnesota. Woo, man, this game's going to be crazy good. Another game. Both teams are 7-8. Both teams can potentially sneak in the playoffs with a win here. I like the Packers in this spot. I like them money line too. I like them in the points, man. The Packers are getting 2.5 points. I like the Packers in this spot to steal a game. The Vikings are very inconsistent. Their defense is pretty good, but that offense sucks. Even with Justin Jefferson and Addison, the quarterback position is a huge question mark. I look for Green Bay to win this game, but from a survivor perspective, I don't like it at all. So, in Week 17, I like the Jaguars, I like the Rams, I like the Bills, but my lock of the week is the Philadelphia Eagles against the Cardinals at home. A must-win game for the Eagles. I look for them to dominate and blow out the Arizona Cardinals. That wraps up our video on survivor betting for Week 17, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you tuning into the channel. Thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you next week. Peace.